It's an honor here to talking to, especially I said audience, so many young people. This is all about next generation. And today's topic, as you can see, is a topic. Well, when Diana asked me to, talk about my understanding about Asian Americans, especially Chinese American and Asian American in this country, this is the one topic I've been very passionate about in the past few years, working with many people in the audience. It is time. I really feel it is time for us to really make a difference. And I see so many young people, you're with us. This is your future. And as parents, we're the one to pave the way. But we're so glad to, to involve you to thinking about this topic. Now, the title of today, I use this as all boats are lifted when water rises. This is really, I think, is the situation for Asian American in this country. Why we must work together? So there are a couple of backgrounds that I've been observing. One is, we said there's a coming of a pluralistic society. Now, what's the definition of a pluralistic society? Really, is when the country becoming a nation without a majority race. This actually is very unique. You can see all the countries in the world, there is a majority race, right? and when they don't have that, usually it's off balance. There's a civil wars, there's other problems will show up. The U.S. is, as projected by the Census Bureau, this is important for our next generation. You probably already experiences this fact, meaning that as this table can show, the white as a race is projected to be 50% of U.S. population by 2043, and continue, that will be below 50%. So there is no more a majority race. Actually, this is even today. Like, if you look at the baby that born today, more than 50% of them are non-white, are colored people, because the reason for that is the aging population. The older, the bigger proportion of white. So when you look at overall, yes, they will become, in 20 years, but actually for the new generation, they already living in a pluralistic society today. So it's coming. Now, why is that important? Now we know we're living in a democracy. In a democracy, one major thing is a population proportional representation. Now look at some of data today. You may already, let me just give you some quick statistics that I remember. In 2015, we have 22 million Asian Americans, which is counted about 5.7% of a total population. But do you know how much tax we actually pay? The Asian Americans in 2015 actually paid 7.1% of a total tax in this country. So we're paying more than our population proportion. On one hand, that is good news because that means the median income for Asian Americans are higher than even the white. Okay? And then they're definitely higher. So when you have a higher income, yes, you pay more tax, which is fine, which is fair. But look at the other side is, in terms of political office and political elected officers and representatives, what is our percentage? It's about 1.2, 1.3%. That's the problem. Well, if we imagine if our goal should be the population proportional representation, let's assume by 2043, when this country become a pluralistic society, the forecast is will be between like 10 to 12%, somewhere there. Let's use 10 as the lower end. This is what we should have. We may have 100 senators, we should have 10, right? Asian American senators. We don't have that now, right? There are 435 House representatives. We should have proportionally 43 House representatives. And we know the governors, 50 states, we should have 5 Asian American governors. And of course, for state legislature, there are 7,000 plus, so we should have 700 plus. You know, the law officials elected, that's Asian Americans, and the county head. We have more than 3,100 counties in this country. So I'm also saying that expectedly should be next 25 to 30 years, we should have an Asian American president elected. And we already have many, quite a few running now. The point is, this should be our goal. We should have, and we can only do that together. All the Asian Americans doing together. If we break up by individual nationalities, a different subgroup will be too small. Now let's take a look at this thing here. This is a map of AAPI. Everybody knows AAPI, right? Asian American Pacific Islanders. That's our population. If you look at this map, the yellow, the light yellow representing there's about 0.5% of a population are Asian in those counties. The darkest one is 18%. That's clearly in California here. Okay? That's in 1990. Okay? 25 years later, look at this one. That's 2016. Okay? That's the power of Asian American. If we don't know that, we're not empowered. We should be empowered. We need to know. Now, of course, we can say, well, even with that, so what's this? So this is the picture you can see. That's U.S. population and Asian American population size. You can see the difference. So we're still just 5.7% right now. But among those 5.7%, the Chinese group, Indians, Philippines, the big ones, and then we have others, and there's some others. I didn't show all of them, but the point is, that's our process. We have to be together, then become that piece, and then when the water rises, all of us are lifted. I just want to give you one example. Everybody knows last year we had a movie, right? It's called The Crazy Rich Asian. Many people watch it. Not everybody will like that. By the way, myself, I look at something, I'm not totally agree. I say, why we portray this way, that way. But that's not the point I want to communicate today. That's not the point. The point is, because that movie is fully Asian cast, and it's breaking the box office for continuous few weeks, what that's demonstrated is Asian American status has been lifted in this country. And even for the Hollywood and for the corporation, they realize they have to pay attention to this population because of the numbers there. And we have high income. There's a power of a purse, right? We have that. So I'm thinking the point is not whether you like the movie or agree with that, but you already benefit from that. For example, after the movie, when you walk on the street, you maybe more people pay attention to you to say, yeah, Asian American also a very important part of U.S. society. So this is the idea, this is the concept of when water rises, rising water lifts all boats. We're all together in this. That's the reason why we need to work together. That's our situation, right? And let's see, can we make a difference? This is the data we have. Now, I hear many people talking to me and say, yeah, we're too small. We vote or don't vote. It doesn't really matter, And sometimes they say, the people I vote didn't get elected. We just don't have enough voice. Think again. I want to express my opinion on this one. This one is 2016 election. This is based on AAPI data. And you can see what's the percentage by each group, subgroup. And Indians on top, doing very well. You register and you vote. And Chinese not doing too well. You can see they're on the bottom. They raise. And imagine, this is important to know, even the 48% register and also only 41% voted, that means really actually only 20% people vote. You see how that goes, the math goes? Because you start with, so you already half of that not even register. So you already lose your vote, right? And sometimes we say, okay, well, if I vote, but I don't think my candidate can win, so I just don't vote. That's wrong. Why that's wrong? Actually, whether the candidate you vote win or not is not as important as the fact you actually voted. Because now the whole society is going into a data-driven society, right? If you didn't vote, you don't exist, right? If you don't have number, it didn't happen. So you kind of, that's the idea. So when each election over, politicians, what they're looking for? They're looking for last election. How many people actually voted? Who are they? If Asians never vote, you don't exist. So they don't, next election, they don't pay attention to you. They can just ignore you. You become marginalized. So whether the candidate you voted actually win or not is not as important as the fact you actually voted. Because the more you voted, next time they have to say, we better look at this group because they can make a difference. Now, the other thing is, the other chart you can look at here. If you see, in 2006, there are about 58, there were 59 election districts. This is our congressional election district. We have 435 congressional election districts. So out of that, 59 of those have more than 10% Asian population in their election district. But look at in 2016, that's already increased to 78. If you're counting by 5% as a threshold, you'll see in 2006, it's 122, but in 2016, it's 165. Now, I don't know how many of you know that actually if you follow election result, more than 80% of all the elections are determined by how much percentage? Less than 5%, the voting difference between the two candidates. So if that candidate happened to be in a community, you have more than 10% Asian communities, your vote can swing the result, can make that difference. But if you don't vote, you don't care, of course, you don't count. You don't exist. So I think it is important that for us to understand this idea is participate, be part of a democratic process. And if you don't show up, if you don't do it, then you have no impact. Now, another thing I want to talk about is, of course, what's the significance of Asian American run for president? Now we know there are Kamala Harris, and there is Andrew Yang, and there may be others, will come up. The point, and many people talk to me say, well, they don't have a chance, whatever. Again, I think they miss the point. That's not the point. I believe just the fact that Andrew Yang came out will inspire many young generation, as you see. You see, when many Asian Americans, my children included, when they grow up, they never see an Asian American candidate running for president, right? So in their mind, subconsciously, they feel we're only good at math, we're only good at engineering, we only can be a doctor, right? They don't think they have that leadership capability. But as you can already see from Andrew Yang, what kind of leadership he can bring to the table. And so the fact that he demonstrated leadership is already changing our image and lifting our status, again, inspiring the next generation. And of course, also give our generation hope in this country. So I think that's the real significance of Asian American candidates for president. Actually, so that's why I want to say whether one votes for AAPI candidates is a personal decision. But the increase the political participation because of Asian Americans run for the presidency is a victory for Asian American population as a race. Okay? Whether you vote for that stuff, but I think because the Asian American candidate come out this year, we're going to have increased participation in 2020 president election. That's a victory. Because any politician next time looking at it says, oh, wow, so many Asian American voted this time. Next time I better pay attention to them. So they'll come to you. So we'll be more closer at the table. That's the whole point I want to emphasize today is all boats are lifted when water rises. This is why Asian Americans must work together to achieve multi-ethnic democracy in a pluralistic society. Now, how do we do that? Actually, as Seattle, USA, and we've been working on this. I'm a data scientist. So one of the things we're doing, which I want to share with you, is that we already begin to do that. And we should have empower all the Asian American communities, use information and data. For example, we can have all the counties, have all their data, but how many Asian American in each one should be accessible instantly, through internet. I don't know if I have that. Okay, that's already the last one. I didn't have that, but that's okay. We're gonna, in the future, we're gonna put on the internet. This is what I can let you know is, imagine anybody who want to run office. They want to know, I'm using the example actually for Andrew Yang, for example. Andrew Yang this time, when he tried to reach out to Asian American communities, so we just create a map for them. So Andrew Yang can then go to any county, any state, just by touch on the map, instant to see how many Asian Americans in this particular county, right? So that helped them to organize their troops to reach out to those, populations. And imagine we match that up with all the 435 congressional districts with all their population in there. And down the road further, we can actually map up with all 7,000 plus state legislation seat and local schools. All these can be, big data, all this can be done today. We can use data to power all those interactively in real time. And imagine map that up with the last 3 election result. And the candidate, how much they lose by what margin. Imagine the power of that any time. We know that exactly. So not only they can encourage us to participate, but also inspire our young people to come out. I can win.